Hey folks, it's Valicious, and I'm cooking a couple of things today. I'm gonna make some corn chowder, which is one of my favorite recipes to make, and it's really easy. I'm gonna show you some tips first for cutting up the carrots, cutting up the potatoes, something I do with the garlic, so you won't see my pretty face for a little bit, but you will get to see some of the techniques, which I hope will help you make a fantastic corn chowder or any other soup. All right, stay tuned. Okay, this is one of my favorite things to do with garlic. When you get those cloves in the bag, I trim them and I get them at Aldi and I put them in my little hand blender. This thing is amazing. There's a lot of different varieties out there, but it does have the whisk, which I use for egg whites or whipped cream. The chopper blade, this has a little lid. It also came with this container, which is what I do my scrambled eggs in, and this lovely little blade. And it just attaches to the wand. And Brian, you can send the check anytime now. And what I put in here is trimmed garlic cloves. And now I'm going to put the lid on. And I did drizzle in some really good olive oil. And all I do, here's a little button, is I press and hold the button. And once I do this, I whack it around a little bit. Put this in the fridge with a little more olive oil on it, and I have chopped garlic for like the week. And you might have to, let's see how it looks in here. Look at that. That was so stinking fast, wasn't it? So I just look at that. It is perfect. I don't get that stuff in the jar already chopped because it has chemicals in it. And yeah, it preserves it, but I really don't want to eat that. And it smells really good, and this is ready to go. I'm going to just give it one more zhuzh. That's a real word, you know. Well, if it isn't, it will be. And then I just put this in a little container, and it works really good. So that's my little garlic tip. Now, everybody wants bacon in their chowder, and I'm going to show you how to cut up your bacon. I get bacon, and I open it up, and I take like half of a pound of bacon, and I cut it in half, and then I freeze it in a Ziploc bag. When I'm gonna make my soup, I take it out, and it's gonna look like this. Here is my frozen sliced bacon, and I'm gonna try to show you. It's frozen. Okay, this is the frozen bacon, and I can see it's nice and meaty. I just cut it like this. Look, it's frozen. There's a little, now these are all the slices. You can see, and now I just cut them like this, and I have got little diced pieces of bacon and bacon fat, which will be the base of my corn chowder. How's that for easy? Now, a friend of mine in school said that she needs to know exactly what kind of pot to use when we're making something. So I'm going to show you. This is a big, I don't know how many quarts it is. It's a 6.6 quart pot. It's got a heavy bottom, and this is what I'm going to make my chowder in. It's not that tall, and I'm going to brown the bacon in here, and that's going to be the fat. I take the bacon out, then I put in the onions, carrots, and celery, and from there, it's almost soup. Here's all my bacon that I'm going to put in the soup, and what I don't use in the soup, I will, it'll be all browned, and I'll take it and we sprinkle it on the top. You just put it in a little container on the side. Now, I peeled a bunch of carrots, and I'm going to cut them up. I cut off the tops, I peeled them, and I'm just going to do them round. And I'm just going to cut them in little rounds. Just 2 carrots at a time. Be careful, some of them roll away. Come back here. And I am going to just cut them in little rounds. And after I cook the bacon, I put in the carrots, the celery, and onions. It's your base for all of your soups, or all of my soups. Depending on what you're making. If you're going to make a stew, the carrots would be bigger, but I just like the little rounds. I think they're fun to find in your soup, a perfectly round slice of carrot. There's what's left. I'm not going to use that. And I just take these. It's a lovely pile of carrots. And I do like the Rachel Ray thing, and I have a little bowl for all of my things. And in here I've got onions, and I'm going to do some more carrots. Now we're going to tackle an onion. So I cut both ends off, and oh, this has got a kind of a bad end. Oh, that doesn't look very good. I'm going to cut one more slice and see if I can get past that. Ah, there, that's good. Now I'm going to cut it in half, and then you peel off that top layer. Now I've got a nice half an onion. Peel off that other one. Get rid of all the little papery stuff. Rinse the knife. That's how you keep from crying. You rinse the onion. I'm going to rinse them both, but they're not going to be around long enough to make me cry anyways. So now I've got 2 halves of an onion. And what I do is I hold my fingers on the top and I take my really sharp knife and I cut it like that. So now I have like a little slice. It is kind of tricky, and this one is very slippery. You could do it like this and cut it into little slices. This one is a slippery one. But I stack it back up like this, and then I'm going to cut straight down. This one's a mess. Well, it's good to see, because you know what? It could happen to you. So now I've got this big pile, and I'm just going to turn the board and slice it again. And I'll show you. I'm going to take half of it. You know, you can always go slow. You don't have to go fast. What a mess. And I'm just going to cut it, keep my fingers out of the way, and so I have little cubes. Wow. Not what I expected. Here is the other part. And so they're like this. And I'm just gonna cut them. This is a slippery one. Holy guacamole. Just take your time. No one wants to get cut. And keep my fingers out of the way. And you can see they are all pretty much the same size. And it's perfect for soup. If you have a nice big onion, you can do it a lot thinner. You can slice it a lot thinner, and you'll get smaller dice, like from here. And some people, like Rachel Ray, don't cut all the way, say not to cut all the way, leave the end on the onion. Now I've got about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 slices on here. And now, depending on how thin I cut this, it will determine the size of the dice. So I'm just cutting straight down. My fingers are not in the way. And I go all the way down. Now, you can see that if I cut straight down this way, I'm going to have a really small dice. Look at that. Beautiful. And I just wipe it into the bowl. That's really small dice. Good for potato salad. Really good for potato salad. You can do it to a red onion. You can do this. This is good for meatloaf or meatballs. If I have extra chopped onion, I just put it in a little container and I put it in the fridge next to the garlic, and I am ready to whip up something. Look at that. Here's a beautiful little pile of onions. And next, I will show you the same technique for a beautiful potato. Now these have been washed. I am not peeling them. This is a golden potato. It's nice and oval. It rolls around a little bit, and what I do is I cut this into thirds or fourths because I'm going to make a small dice. So you see I have 4 pieces. Now I just lay them flat like this, and I'm going to cut this into thirds straight down, because sometimes you have to hold the pieces down so that the knife will come out. Now this is in thirds. I'm going to do this one in thirds as well. It is a little slippery, so be careful. Now this is in thirds. Now I turn them, and this is going to make my perfect dice, which I'm going to put in a bowl because the potatoes will go in after the carrots and the other stuff. Pretty cool, huh? Watch. There is the first batch. And again, I could go wide or I could go small. I'm going to do small dice because it's for soup, and all the way to the end. Some of these little end pieces, they're just going to dissolve into the soup and make it thick. So this is a beautiful thing. This is one whole potato, and you saw how fast it was. Little bit of skin. The golden potatoes have a really creamy texture, and the skin is thin enough, and it doesn't separate. The russet potatoes, sometimes the skin will come off and be like half on there and kind of tough. This is a pretty soft skin, as I said. Potatoes. Hey, I'm back again, and I'm cutting corn off of the cob, which can be tricky. And I'm going to use the cobs as bones in the soup to get all of the sweetness from the corn. So here is my bowl, and I trimmed the bottom of the corn. Now there's a little silk on there, but that's okay. And I'm going to hold it in this a nice shallow bowl. I've got my sharp knife, and I'm just going to hold it really firmly and cut straight down. Look at that. What a beautiful thing. And the next part, and I turn it and go again. And I'm getting pretty close to the cob. And I might add some extra frozen corn to the soup. But the fresh corn in here is nice and sweet. And I got it at the fruit stand already peeled. I just pulled some of the, look at that. And this is a corn cob bone. So when I cook it with the broth, all of this sweetness comes out and gets soft, and it's amazing. Here, I got another one. Look at this nice bowl of corn I have. That's 1 ear of corn. So it's got a flat. I'm gonna trim that bottom off a little bit. There, so it's sturdy. And look at this. Cut, cut, cut. Corn, corn, corn. Look at that beautiful thing. It is gorgeous. I actually went online and bought this crazy corn thing. Looks like a little face. It had a little blade. And it doesn't take off as much corn as the knife. See, Alton Brown is correct that you don't need a unitasker, like a special device to cut the corn off of a cob. Look at this. And there's my other bone. I got another one right here. And, oh, this is butter sugar. I'm just gonna trim the bottom off. And keep going. See you in a little bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bones. I may not put them all in. Look at this huge bowl of corn. This is ready for the soup. If you see any of the silk, you can pull it out. But you know what? I think it makes it tasty. It adds to the soup. If you get a little corn silk in there, you know it was made with real corn. Okay, I'm gonna start assembling the soup. I have my corn, I have my carrots, my celery, my onions, my Trinity. I've got the bacon in the pan. I've got potatoes. I am ready to begin the soup. Okay, here is my beautiful 6.6 quart pot. This is my bacon that was frozen. It's thawed. I just put it in the bottom of this pan, and I'm going to start it cooking and rendering the bacon fat out and crisping up the bacon. I also have a little pancetta that I got at Aldi, a little cut up, and it just doesn't have the smoky flavor. And I have my garlic that I chopped up earlier with the olive oil ready to just spoon out. And the leftover garlic in this, I will add my chicken broth to rinse it out, to add broth when I'm ready to add my potatoes. And the potatoes, I rinse them, and they're all around the same size. And once I have rendered the bacon fat and put the carrot, celery, and onions in here, then I will add the broth and the potatoes and the corn and the spices. Okay, oh, the house smells gloriously of bacon. And this has rendered, and there's a nice little brown, ooh, look at the camera got all fogged up. There's a nice brown crust on the bottom. And I'm gonna remove the bacon, and then I'll show you the next part. Okay, you can see how much bacon fat is left, and I left that one little piece in there because it wasn't quite crispy enough. And my little bowl of crispy bits are for later, for when the soup is all done, and for garnish. So the temperature is still up, and this is my huge thing of carrots and celery and onions. And I'm gonna start throwing this stuff in. Ooh, that nice sizzle. There's my carrots. And I chopped up quite a bit, so I may not put it all in there. I'm gonna look at the level of the veggies in the pot. Celery, I chopped up. I have no trick for chopping up celery, but I love the little inner pieces, the little leaves. just the plain, the really light colored ones, and that gives you a really good flavor in your soup. Or if you're making potato salad or egg salad or anything that you're putting celery in, one of the spices I'm going to use in this soup is celery seed that I get in a jar. And there's my carrots, and I'm going to give it a little stir. Now you can see that in the pot, this is really covering the whole bottom of the pot. So I'm going to have to stir it. It's already taking up the brown bits. Look at that. That's amazing. And that is flavor. What is that they are going to shrink down. So right now, it's a good quarter of my pot. And that may seem like a lot of veggies, but this is going to be a really thick corn chowder. And it will be thick with vegetables and good stuff. Okay, these are some of the seasonings I am going to use in the soup. I've got a Bragg's Aminos. I used to call them Anemos, like Nemo. This is a salty umami flavor. I'm going to add some crushed red pepper and some cayenne because you got to have a little heat. Now this is not labeled, but it is ground bay leaves. So I don't have to take it out. Ground coriander, celery seed, right here, very nice, and some chopped chives. And I'm getting ready to put the bones in and the chicken broth. And I've actually done that. Let's come on over and see. The vegetables have cooked way down. And this, I've added the chopped garlic. You can see it floating. And this is just a box of chicken broth. You can use organic, you can use whatever you like. But this is the carrots, and look at how the celery and onions have melted down. I actually took some of them out, and this is what they look like, because I really had a lot of veggies in there. I might add them back in, depends on what it looks like. So now I'm gonna throw these corn cobs in here. I'm gonna put 4 of them in, and I'm going to add the potatoes, which I rinsed to get some of the starch off of them. And I put them in a strainer, and here they go. Yeah, that's good. Look at how much this pot has filled up. And I am going to add some of the corn. Look at this, because this is the fresh corn. I'm not going to need any frozen corn in this, but I'm going to put about half of it in, and I'm going to save the rest of this for when the potatoes are done, because some of the fresh corn is really good, the crunch. Look how thick this is already, just with vegetables. The corn is going to shrink, the potatoes are going to shrink, and I'm going to turn up the temperature. Then I'm going to add my spices. Okay, so adding some spice. This is a 6-quart pot of soup. It is big. It's going to take some spice. So I'm going to put crushed red pepper. Now look at that. That looks like a lot. So I'm going to show you what you do if you've added too much. And I don't want to kill anybody with this, with the heat. So if you've added a little too much, you can scoop some of it off. Just like that. So there's a little crushed red pepper. And yes, a little sprinkle of cayenne. That was like 3 shakes. Bay leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4. Celery seed. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. Ground coriander. Very nice. Very good in a cream soup. I am going to do a little nutmeg in this too. Now chives, I'm going to put fresh chives in at the end. There's plenty of chives there for a little green. And the Bragg's Amino. And I'm just going to squirt. Glug, glug, glug. The other thing I'm going to add right now is some black truffle salt. Whoa, this is some beautiful truffle salt. You can see the little truffles in there. And I'm just going to add a pinch of that. A good couple of pinches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got a lot of potatoes in there and a lot of corn. It's going to need some salt. Okay, these are the corn cobs I took out, and this is what the soup looks like. Oh, you can't see it. It's clouded up. And this is the soup, and I'm going to add 2 spoonfuls of better than bouillon chicken base. Just 2 teaspoonfuls, and I'm rinsing out the jar and gonna pour that in. And the next thing I'm gonna do is add the half and half. The potatoes are cooked, the corn is cooked. I added the rest of that corn from those corn cobs. Look at that, beautiful. And I've got half and half. You could use half and half, you can use milk. And what I'm gonna do is put a couple of tablespoons of flour in here, and I'm gonna zhuzh it up with my hand blender to make it smooth. 1, 2, 3, I think I'm gonna go with 4. And I'm gonna zhuzh that up, and then I'm gonna pour that in the hot soup. Okay, I'm zhuzhing up the half and half and the flour. I'm telling you, this hand blender is awesome. Okay, that's it. Now I've got a little slurry, and that's going to lighten up that soup and make it awesome. Here goes my little slurry. Oh, half and half. I haven't even added any butter, and there's only the bacon fat in here so far. And this is gonna thicken up pretty quickly, so I'm gonna stir it. Look at how it changed the color. Now it looks like chowder. Oh, and it's thickening because this is nice and hot. Oh my goodness. Look at the thickness of that, so fast. Oh my gosh. Gotta let that cook. I might even have to, 4 tablespoons might have been too much. Ooh, look at that. Holy smoke. I'm gonna add some bacon bits back in here. I'm not gonna add them all, but I'm gonna put some of them sprinkled. Oh my God, look at that. Unbelievable. I'm gonna have to add a little more. I'm just gonna add some milk to it to thin it a little bit, and I'm gonna let it cook. And then we have corn chowder, and we're gonna taste it. Okay, this is the chowder, and it is amazing. I'm eating it. I'm telling you, this chowder. The potatoes are soft. The corn is sweet and crunchy. The bacon is really good. Has just enough salt. That chicken broth and the Better Than Bouillon did a great job. I think you could add a little sprinkle of crushed red pepper if you like it a little hotter, because it just doesn't have any heat at all, but it's really mild. The carrots stayed whole and are delicious. Good, try this. You could probably add some shrimp to it or some clams, and it is the same base. But instead of chicken broth for clam chowder, I would use clam juice and fresh clams, and that would be really amazing. Well, this is Valicious, and the soup is delicious. You got to try it.